Hi, my name is Fawzia Mirza. I'm an actor, I'm a writer, I'm Pakistani, I am Muslim, and I'm a lesbian. You're welcome. Are there any other Pakistani Muslim lesbians in the room? All right, that's fine. Okay, so maybe you can't relate to all of my specific identities, but I bet some of you can relate to what it feels like to, how about this? Anyone in here ever feel like an outsider? Oh, I see you. Anyone ever feel othered in their community? What about even in their family? All right, you don't have to say, I know your family's in the room. So maybe you can't relate to all of these specific identities, but you can definitely relate to what it feels like to feel that way, like a bit of an outsider, a little bit different when we're talking about being in a community or a community of people or even in families. Well, I want to tell you that one of the most important ways that I have learned to survive my otherness has been through humor and through laughter. And I'm not talking about laughing at someone or anyone laughing at me. I'm talking about using humor as a tool to survive, using humor as a tool to survive and make sense of the thing that's happening to you. Sometimes I'm talking about in tough situations, in uncomfortable situations, even in, scary situations. And humor is something that I've used in work, in life, in creating art, and as I have to tell you, as my favorite tool of defying the ordinary. There you go, no problem. Now, the first memory I actually have of using humor as a tool, I was 5 years old. You're welcome. My girlfriend just said, she's so cute. But my family moved to this tiny little fishing town. It was in Sydney, Nova Scotia in Canada. Sydney, Nova Scotia, some might call it Canadian Maine. I was the only non-white, non-Christian kid in my community and my entire class, and I came into my first day of class, okay? So I had my lunchbox, I'm really excited, haven't met anybody there before. I opened my lunchbox, and guess what? I was the kid with the stinky lunch. Everybody else had these beautifully beige bologna sandwiches, and I was the kid with this keema sandwich. I don't know if you know what keema is. Keema is this Pakistani amazing dish. It's like ground beef. It's a South Asian like ground beef mixture with onions and spices, but it smells a little different than bologna. Okay, and theirs was like, bologna sandwiches and white Wonder Bread. Mine was keema sandwich in this brown whole wheat roti. We were a little different. And so everyone was like, what does this smell? And I was like, I didn't want to tell people. So then the next day, I go back to school, I got the same lunch, and I open my lunch, and instead of waiting for everybody to ask what the smell was, I don't know why it happened, but I get up on my chair, I just start dancing. I don't know why, but I did it. I start dancing, this awkward, weird little dance. It was kind of like this, and everyone starts laughing. They start laughing, and not only did they start laughing, they suddenly became my friends. And that is the first moment I learned the power of connecting with somebody through laughter and connecting with them even when I didn't know how to. By the way, I love keema sandwiches now. And honestly, it felt kind of awesome because you suddenly realize oh, I have friends. And what does this mean, right? So then you'd think I became an adult. Things get better. Well, does it become less uncomfortable? Does it become less awkward? No, because as an adult, I actually did it backwards. So as I became an adult, I became more othered. I came out as a lawyer. Are there any lawyers in the room? Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, so I like how someone's there, yes, over here. So I came out as a lawyer. Now, this whole feeling of feeling othered actually started in law school for me. So in law school, my favorite thing in law school was not torts, not crim law, not contracts, whatever. It was actually in my third year of law school. We took a mandatory class. It was called trial advocacy. Trial advocacy is this amazing class where you go in, and you do these, you learn the rules of evidence for the courtroom, right? So you are learning how to do direct examinations. You're learning how to do cross-examinations. I know y'all are watching O.J. Simpson right now. You're learning how to do opening arguments and closing arguments, and you learn how to say, I object. On the count of 3, I want everybody to say that together in the room. Ready? 1, 2, 3.
I object.
Does that feel good? Right? Okay, so that feels really good. You know why? Because that's less like lawyering. You know what it's more like? Acting. And that was the moment in my 3rd year of law school during trial advocacy. I was like, oh my gosh, I don't love lawyering. I like acting, which it's fine. Don't judge me. And so what I did then was I came out again after law school. And after law school, I came out as an actor. So what happened was I was practicing law for a few years. I was a litigator. And I realized that this wasn't going to make me happy. So I left that and I started lawyering. But what happened was I left this world and a lot of people gave me a lot of flack. So a lot of people, whether they were people who were lawyers, whether they were family members, they were like, what are you going to do? You spent all this time, you spent all this money. How are you going to change your careers? You're going to be unhappy, you'll have no stability. And instead of letting them make me feel bad about what I wanted to do and how I felt my most comfortable, I just started making some comedy out of it. So I started telling people, well, actually, being an actor to me, it's, I don't think being an actor is hard enough. It's just not. Being an actor is not hard enough. I want to make it harder. So I want to be an actor on a lawyer's debt. Because it's a lot of money. I like how the lawyer's like, yes, it is. And that's the same thing. So again, when I was an actor, I came out again. 3rd time. Guess how I came out this time? As a lesbian. You might be able to tell from my haircut and my glasses. Now, this time I came out and I got a lot of flack. A lot of people said to me, wait a minute, what are you doing? You're going to be a lesbian? Well, I don't know what that is. That's my first actor headshot. Don't worry. And then I came out as a lesbian. What happens when you become a lesbian is you just immediately from the sky, like a leather jacket and a motorcycle, they're just given to you. It's like part of your gift from the universe. The universe is like, thank you, we've been waiting, here you go. I know you're jealous. You're jealous, yeah, I know, you're jealous. So, but what happened was people started telling me, well, you know what, I don't know if this is good for you. This is unnatural. This doesn't make sense. Like marriage is between a man and a woman. And so what I started telling them was actually, you know what I feel? Look, I come from a family where my Pakistani Muslim family, it was not okay to date. I wasn't allowed to date. I didn't eat pork. I didn't drink alcohol. I didn't even wear a low-neck V-neck t-shirt or a skirt. But now, you know what's unnatural? I have to go to my mother and say, Mom, I'm having sex with women. That's unnatural. And then you think, okay, fine. So these communities of people don't get it. Well, maybe the gay community gets it. The gays didn't get it either. So I'd go to gay bars and they gave me flack too, because they were constantly like, are you sure you're a lesbian? You don't look like a lesbian. I've actually never met a Muslim lesbian before. So, right? So there I was, an outsider again, continuously in this community. So instead of getting bogged down by the questions, again, I chose laughter. So what I started telling them was when someone asked me, well, are you really gay? Can you ask me that?
Are you really gay?
Well, actually, I'm 50% gay, 50% Muslim. So, I start getting the hang of some of this, right? And then acting, I start getting the hang of acting. Because then I'm like, okay, I'm good. I'm doing this work. I'm like the former lawyer, now the actor. But when I go in, I get all these agents who start telling me, actually, I know you are all these things, and I know you're a Muslim, I know you're Pakistani, I know you're an actor, I know you're a woman, but you're not like Muslim enough to be on TV. Okay. Well, actually, you're not Pakistani enough to be on TV. Oh, okay. You're actually not lesbian enough to be on TV. Okay, fine. So there I was, being all the communities that I actually am, but I wasn't enough to represent those communities on television, which is kind of weird. So then what I decided was, instead of waiting for that to happen, instead of waiting for someone else to decide I'm enough of who I am, I decided to create my own content. And I made my own space, and I decided to create my first web series. The first web series I made was called Cam Kardashian. Cam Kardashian is about the long-lost lesbian Kardashian sister. This was like 5 years ago. So, listen, this is before Caitlyn Jenner came out, okay? And part of it was, if I'm not enough of any of these things that I actually am, why don't I take myself, a short-haired Pakistani Muslim human, and insert herself into the most famous family on the planet? I can do that. I have that power. So that's what I did. And that was fun. And then the next thing I did, and all of this was trying to reconcile all of these identities, right? So the next thing I did was, okay, another comedic web series called Brown Girl Problems, which is about these specific identities. Because I started saying, you know what? Yes, you may not think I'm this, fine, I'm over that. But also, I think there are some of my communities that don't understand the connections we have amongst each other. One of them is Muslims and lesbians. Because actually, I think that some Muslims and some lesbians have a lot in common. I know, you're wondering, Seriously, you may think they're seemingly different, but think about it. Some Muslims and lesbians, they both wear lots of layers, even when it's hot outside. Some Muslims and lesbians wear scarves. Muslims wear headscarves. Lesbians love bandanas. And you know what? Neither of them like sausage. You can clap at that. So through all of this, right? Through all of this, and through laughter, through finding the comedy of where I am at, I was connecting to myself. I was connecting to my communities. I was connecting my communities to my communities. And then, in March of last year, I went to Pakistan. I was invited by the U.S. Embassy in Pakistan to do my play. A play that I wrote. I was invited to do it at 3 cities in Karachi, Lahore, and Islamabad across the country. And yeah, this is the play. It's called Me, My Mom, and Sharmila. It's a show I wrote. And it starts with comedy. And it uses comedy and comedic storytelling as a tool to relate to the audience. And then suddenly we flip the switch. After everyone connects with you, then we're like, haha, now we're gonna have a serious conversation. And after we flip the switch, I talk about my relationship with my mother, our differences, our similarities, and I share the story of how I came out to her and also of our estrangement. And I have to tell you, I had no idea how Pakistani audiences would relate to this. I had no idea how they would relate to me. They told me they laughed, they told me they cried, they told me they connected, they told me they had a lot of empathy for who I was, and they told me they saw me, which was wonderful. And then I got this message from a woman who saw my show. So this is just a small excerpt. I'll read it to you, just a small excerpt of it. She said to me, I have no words to begin this message with, but I'll try. I watched your play today. I sat through it with my thumbs pressed between my fingers and jaw clenching, trying my very best not to bloody cry. How do I make you see why you've made me see today, how you've made me feel? I've been confused about my sexual orientation since I was 12 years old. I'm 22 now. You're the one I'm coming out to. I'm coming out, I think. This is amazing, right? Because you're like, man, this is important. This woman had no one else to talk to. We're in a country and a culture where it's not safe to maybe talk about you, who you are, your identity, your orientation. And, you know, we're overseas. And some people said to me, Fawzia, this is where your work matters. Your work matters more in a country like Pakistan. Your work may matter here, but not as much as it does over there. Because here in the USA, we're better than needing that, right? I mean, here in the USA, we treat minorities and women and Muslims and Mexicans better, right? You know where this is going. This guy has proven that all wrong. And so when this guy said in December that Muslims should wear armbands, and Muslims should be put in camps, and Muslims should be kept out of this country, I was like, okay, I think I should do something. But what can a little brown girl do? Look at me, I'm 5'2". I can barely keep my paper on a stand. You know what I mean? What can I do? And the thing that I realized that I can do, if I can do anything, is it anything, I don't know, but it's something in my power. That's to make satire. That's to create weird little content. That's to create something and put it on the internet and force people to deal with who I am. And that is somebody who doesn't like this guy. And so I created a character who I think is as outrageous, as outspoken, as uninterested in truth as he is, but a really nice person and a pacifist. Her name's Aisha Trump. Aisha Trump is the Muslim illegitimate daughter of Donald Trump. That's me. She's actually the only halal Trump. She's actually the only kosher Trump too. But here's the thing, I thought, you know what, if there's any kind of satire, any kind of comedy, that somebody who's spewing as much hatred towards who I am, there's one group of people he can't embrace, and that's a gay Muslim playing a Muslim character, playing a Muslim daughter of his. And for me, this has been an amazing experience. It was meant to be an experiment, and it's now been in Vice and Jezebel and NBC News and Jazeera America and Al Jazeera English overseas and a lot of other wonderful spaces. But it was a way of saying that, my identity matters, and I'm as American as anybody else. And actually, sometimes I think I should make a film about like a Muslim woman falling in love with a Mexican woman. Oh wait, I'm already doing that, but that's a talk for another time. But what I want to tell you truthfully is that laughter for me, it's survival. It's how I tell people who I am. It's how I be who I am. Even right now in front of you. This is it. If I can make you laugh, then I feel like we're buddies. We've created some sort of connection that maybe you didn't have before, whether it was with someone who's a woman, whether it's with someone who's 5'2", whether it's with someone who's wearing this shirt, or a Pakistani, or a Muslim, or a lesbian, or someone who wears really big glasses. Whatever that is, now we have that connection, and you have that connection to me. And I have to tell you, when I think of like laughing, it's one of my favorite things in the world, but I'm not a pretty laugher. No, I am definitely not. I kind of look like, I look like Ralph Macchio Pez dispenser. You know what I mean? Like when I laugh, I know, now you see it. Now you see it. I know you see it. You also are like, is that Bruno Mars up there? Yes, it is. But when I laugh, I tend to laugh loud. I laugh with like my mouth open, with my like head back, much like the Pez dispenser. My teeth are out. And my mom, when I laugh, she's like, Fawzia, that's not very ladylike. And she's right. But we're redefining ladylike also. And she even says to me, Fawzia, when you laugh, you look like a Muppet. And to this day, I'm trying to figure out which one. But I have to say, if I have to be a Muppet in order to create a safe space for these kinds of conversations and these kinds of connections, and to defy the ordinary, then I'm totally down being that kind of brown and being not your ordinary brown girl. Thank you.